Welcome to the Agile Software Engineering Deep Dive. My name is Alessandro Guida, and in this episode, I want to explore something that nobody really prepares you for: becoming an engineering manager. More specifically, the mistakes I made when I first stepped into that role. Because when you move from engineer to manager, nothing external changes overnight, but internally, everything should. The problem is, your reflexes don't. You are still good at solving problems. You still think fast. You still see the architectural shortcut before others finish explaining the issue. And that is precisely where things begin to go wrong. In this episode, I reflect on some of the worst mistakes I made early in my management career, including believing it was still my job to be the smartest person in the room, confusing speed with progress, and slowly becoming too central instead of building autonomy. The goal is not to criticize ambitious new managers, and certainly not to promote a new leadership framework. It is to share a simple but uncomfortable insight. Leadership is less about brilliance and more about restraint. This episode is especially relevant for young engineering managers, engineers considering the transition, and experienced leaders who want to build stronger, more independent teams. If you have ever felt overloaded, indispensable, or slightly too central in your organization, this conversation may resonate. Let's dive in.
Okay, picture this scenario. It's the stuff of nightmares for some people, but it happens basically every single Tuesday in tech.
Yeah.
You're a killer engineer. You just crush code. You're the one everyone calls when everything is on fire.
The so-called 10X engineer,
Yeah,
right? The myth.
Exactly. And then you get that meeting invite, you get a firm handshake, a kind of vague congratulations, and boom, you're an engineering manager.
And then silence.
Yes, the deafening silence of, okay, now what do I do?
Right. There's no user manual, no training montage.
Just a team of people who, used to be your peers, your friends, and now they're just staring at you, waiting.
It's the ultimate sink or swim moment.
Yeah.
And the reality is most people sink. Or at least they swallow a lot of water before they figure out how to paddle.
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at this amazing piece called The User Manual for the Young Engineering Manager.
And the author is so blunt. I love it.
Me too. They say this isn't some academic theory. They just call it scar tissue.
Which is really the only data that matters in management, right? Theories are fine, but scars tell you where the real sharp edges are.
Yeah. And the author frames this whole thing around what they call a very dangerous sentence in leadership.
Oh, I know this one. That seemed reasonable at the time.
Oof. I've said that. I've definitely said that.
We all have.
Yeah.
Because you almost always learn how to manage after you've already messed something up.
Yeah.
The learning is retroactive.
After the damage is done. That is terrifying.
It is. So the mission for us here is to try and fast track that learning. We're going to unpack these mistakes, so hopefully you don't have to make them.
To help you move from doing the work to building the system.
Exactly. Building the system that does the work.
I love that. Okay, let's get into it. The first one is, I think, the most psychological. Segment 1, the identity crisis.
This is the big one. Mistake number 1. Believing it's still your job to be the smartest person in the room.
Oh, this hits so close to home. Your whole career, you're valued for having the answers, and now you're supposed to just stop.
Right. The author has this brilliant analogy for it. Painful, but brilliant. They say they became a very expensive, well-dressed compiler.
A compiler? Wow.
Yeah, think about it. Input comes in, you process it, clean output goes out, you're just a pass-through.
And that feels good. In the moment, it feels great. Someone brings you a problem, you solve it, you feel valuable, you feel like you earned your paycheck.
You get that little dopamine hit of, I fixed it, but it's a disaster because you're teaching your team a terrible lesson.
What's the lesson?
That thinking is optional.
Ouch. Thinking is optional.
It's implicit, right? If your team knows that anytime they get stuck, you'll just give them the answer, they stop wrestling. They stop thinking out loud.
So ideas start to show up, as the author says, suspiciously polished.
Exactly. Because they're not trying to solve the real problem anymore. They're just trying to solve for you, guessing what you want.
So you haven't built a team, you've just made yourself into a giant bottleneck.
A bottleneck with a fancy title. Yeah. And if you get sick, the whole team just stops.
Yeah.
You're not helping, you're crippling them.
The source mentions Steve Jobs here, the whole, you hire smart people so they can tell you what to do.
Right. It's a great quote, but it is so hard to actually do, to just sit there when you know the answer.
So the cheat code here is what?
If you always have the best answers, you're solving the wrong problem.
Yeah.
Your job isn't to be smart anymore. It's to make them smarter.
Which connects to another mistake that I mentioned, number 10, the idea that leadership is about having all the answers immediately.
The action hero fantasy.
Yeah.
But bad leadership is often just giving really confident answers to the wrong questions.
It's because you didn't listen long enough to figure out what the real problem was.
Exactly. You're too busy being the hero to actually listen. So the advice is to just flip it. Silence first, ask questions second, and only then, if you have to, give an answer.
That awkward silence. That's where the team steps up.
That's the space they need to grow into.
Okay, that's a great point. Let's move to segment 2, which I think everyone struggles with, the illusion of progress.
Mistake number 2. Confusing activity with progress.
Yes, the love of activity, the glowing Jira boards, Slack going off every second.
Calendars that are just a wall of meetings.
It looks like work, it feels productive, but the author calls it a beautifully efficient traffic jam.
It's such a perfect image. Everyone's engine is revving, there's a lot of noise and heat, but nothing is actually moving.
And the first instinct is always to add more coordination.
Let's have another sync.
A quick huddle, a pre-meeting alignment.
Right, because scheduling a meeting feels like taking action, but you're just optimizing for activity, not for value.
So what's the fix? How do you break the jam?
You have to stop optimizing the busyness. You have to find the actual constraint. Where's the work getting stuck? Is it code review? Is it waiting on another team?
You remove the obstacle instead of just having another meeting to talk about the obstacle.
Exactly. And that brings us to the other way. Managers try to add things to solve a problem. Mistake number 6, the hiring trap.
Oh, this is a classic. The team is underwater, the pressure's on.
So what's the first thing you scream?
We need more headcount.
Feels like the only answer, but the source is really blunt here. Hiring is one of the slowest possible ways to solve an immediate problem.
Because of all the overhead, the interviews, the onboarding.
It's all that. It's Brooks' Law, right?
Yeah.
Adding people to a late project makes it later. You have to write the JD, you have to interview. That takes your time away from the problem.
And then the new person starts.
And they know nothing. So your best engineers, who are already drowning, have to stop their work to train the new person.
So you're actually slowing the whole team down in the short term.
Massively. You're paying this huge upfront tax. So the advice is, instead of hiring to fix a fire, you do one of 3 things. 1, snuff something, just kill a project.
Which is hard.
So hard. Or 2, reduce the work in progress, do fewer things. Or 3, fix the bottleneck in your current process. Don't hire to feel better.
Fix the flow first. That's good. Okay, let's talk about the mechanics of the team. Segment 3. Building a self-reliant machine.
This gets to mistake number 5, delegating tasks instead of delegating responsibility.
Okay, break that down for me. If I tell a developer, go build this API, isn't that delegating?
It's delegating a task,
Yeah.
but not ownership.
Yeah.
If I just give you a ticket, a narrow little task,
Yeah.
what happens when you hit a problem you didn't expect?
I come back to you and ask what to do.
Right. You're still the one doing the thinking. You're back to being the compiler.
I see how these all connect.
They're all symptoms of the same control problem. The source says you need to delegate coherent chunks. You hand over an entire feature, an entire problem space. You say, you own this, you have the authority.
That's scary, though. Giving up that control, what if they get it wrong?
They might. And they'll learn. But that's the only way they grow, and it's the only way you get to stop making every single decision.
But once you delegate, you have to keep them all going the right way. Which is mistake number 3, alignment decay.
I love the metaphor for this one. That alignment has the half-life of a radioactive isotope.
It just naturally degrades over time.
You can't just set the vision once a quarter and expect everyone to remember it. People drift. They forget.
Yesterday's agreement is today's assumption and tomorrow's surprise. That's the line.
It's so true. So if it feels like you're repeating yourself all the time,
Yeah,
you're probably doing just enough.
exactly. You have to be the chief reminding officer.
Okay. But there's another trap here. The opposite, almost. Mistake 4, overprotection.
The mama bear instinct. The shield. I'll handle the politics, you just code.
Which sounds heroic. It sounds like what a good boss should do.
It feels heroic, for sure. But the source argues that if you shield your team from everything, you make them fragile.
How so?
They never learn to make trade-offs. They don't understand the business reality. They're just operating in this perfect, clean bubble that doesn't actually exist. So you're saying, let them feel some of the heat.
You protect them from harm, from toxicity, absolutely, but you don't protect them from reality. Deadlines are reality. Budget cuts are reality. They need that context to build the right thing.
Protect from harm, not reality. That's a really good distinction. Okay, segment 4. The human element.
This is where it gets tough. Mistake number 9, the 1.1 trap.
I am so guilty of this. You're busy, they're busy, you open the 1.1 and you just pull up Jira and say, so how's that ticket coming along?
And it feels efficient. You got a status update, but you've just destroyed the entire purpose of that meeting.
Because it's the one safe space they have.
It's the only space. They have stand-ups in Slack for project status. The 1.1 is for them, their career, their motivation, their burnout, their problems with you.
And if you fill that time with project talk, you're signaling that you care more about the work than about them.
And you lose all the important signals. You don't see the burnout coming. You don't hear about the conflict between two people. The rule is simple. If your 1.1 feels like a status meeting, you've already lost.
So instead, you have to ask those harder, open-ended questions. What's frustrating you? How can I help?
Yeah. It requires trust, but it's the whole point.
And speaking of things that require trust, the source connects mistakes 7 and 8, process versus people.
This is huge.
Yeah.
When things get messy, when people aren't getting along, a manager's first instinct is to reach for process.
Let's add a new rule. Let's make a new workflow.
Right, because it's safer than looking someone in the eye and having a hard conversation. It's an avoidance tactic.
Hiding behind the handbook.
Pretty much.
Right.
But you can't use process to fix a trust problem. And mistake number 8 is putting off those necessary hard conversations.
Oh, I'll just wait for the performance review cycle.
I'll deal with it after the launch. And all that time, the problem gets worse. The resentment builds. The cost of having that conversation goes up every single day you wait.
The takeaway is powerful. Courage compounds.
If it feels uncomfortable now, it's only going to feel worse later. Just rip the Band-Aid off.
That's great advice. Okay, last big section here. Segment 5, the existential check. Bonus mistake 12, drifting into management.
This is the author getting really reflective. A lot of people become managers just because it seems like the next step up, the only way to get a raise or more status.
Right. You're a great coder, so congratulations, here's a team.
But management isn't just more engineering. It's a totally different profession. It's budgets and emotions and calendars that look like modern art.
It's a career change, not just a promotion.
Exactly. And the source makes a really critical point. Staying on the technical track is not a failure. We desperately need great principal engineers.
So the mistake is just sleepwalking into it without asking yourself, why?
Right. Choose it deliberately. If you love solving technical puzzles, stay technical. If you love building systems of people, then choose management. But choose it.
I think a lot of people needed to hear that. It's okay to go back to coding if you hate the meetings.
It's better for everyone if you do.
So, to wrap it all up, we've gone from the human compiler to the traffic jam of busy work to radioactive alignment.
I think the single theme that connects all of this is restraint. Leadership is less about what you do and more about what you don't do. It's about making yourself less necessary over time.
Which brings us to the very last thought from the source. Bonus mistake 11, taking over when things go slow. Just jumping in and saying, move over, I'll do it.
It works. In the short term, you hit the deadline. But you've just killed the learning opportunity.
You're back to being the compiler.
You are. And
Yeah.
the final lesson is that short-term speed, when you get it by taking over, it just creates long-term dependency. So, teach first, intervene last.
That is the discipline right there. Well, for everyone listening, if you heard any of this and thought, oh no, that's me, or I did that this morning.
Don't panic. As the author says, if you recognize yourself in these mistakes, that's a good thing. It just means you're learning.
And that's the best place to start. Thanks for diving in.
Anytime. Now go cancel a meeting.
Seriously, go do it. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Agile Engineering Deep Dive podcast. If today's episode gave you new insight into working across teams or highlighted the role of discipline in achieving real agility, Feel free to share it with your colleagues or your network. You can find the full written article along with previous episodes in the Agile Software Engineering newsletter on LinkedIn. And if you have thoughts, questions, or examples from your own organization, I'd be happy to hear from you. Your experiences help shape what we explore next. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.